countdown we have the faceless ghost. The NOPPERA-BO, or faceless ghosts, are creepy looking creatures with no face. They typically disguise themselves as humans, but can wipe all the facial features off of their face so they look terrifying. But no need to worry, these ghosts mean no harm. They are tricksters, and all they like to do is scare humans with their appearance. What's the worst is that they can impersonate your family or friends. So one second you're talking to your mom and then BAM! Her face is gone and you're talking to this nightmarish creature.
In our number 9 spot today we have the Jorogumo. I feel like that was pretty good for a first try. This creature, according to lore, is said to be a yokai that is half woman, half spider. She has the ability to appear as a beautiful human in order to lure unsuspecting men so that she can devour them like a black widow spider. Legend has it that one day a young samurai encountered an alluringly gorgeous woman on the streets. Many people would have been fooled by her appearance, but the samurai was not so naive. He saw through the disguise and immediately drew his sword, but was only able to injure her before she was able to scurry away. He followed the trail of scarlet that was left by her blood, and it led him to an old abandoned house. When he peered inside, he saw dozens of bodies that were bound in spider silk. In our number 8 spot today we have the HIGYOU-SAMA. This legend basically is about a chicken that has human eyes. Yeah, listen, it sounds silly, but the more I thought about it, trulier the scarier that thought became. Basically, the chicken with its weird eyes is a demon or a monster who replaces the spirit of anyone who looks at those creepy eyes directly. And most of them have people realizing that they are in the presence of this creature right at the time of its hatching, leaving them with no chance of avoidance. It is said that chicks hatching at either 12 o'clock noon or 12 o'clock midnight are the most likely to become the HIGYOU-SAMA, with the ones hatching at midnight being the most evil of all. In our number 7 spot today we have the Red Room Curse. This legend is one that is of the internet variety, and it begins with someone using the computer when a pop-up ad appears. No, it's not asking if you want to meet some local singles in your area. This legend says that the pop-up asks the unfinished question of, do you like? Of course, like with any pop-up, the person closes it and tries to continue browsing, but this legend has the ads more relenting than Pirate Bay. When the user continues to close the pop-ups, the question eventually will become finished and will change from do you like to do you like red, and finally, eventually it will read, do you like the red room? This is obviously a bad sign. No thank you, computer closed, goodbye. Once the question is officially complete, a website will now pop up that has a list of people's names, and the user will see their name getting added. Suddenly they'll then feel a presence behind them, and the rest is gruesome. The person will be found later in a room that is painted red with their blood. It's terrifying, and we're all grateful that it is just a legend after all. In our number 6 spot today we have HANAKO-SAN. This is a creature that originated during the World War II era. HANAKO-SAN is said to be the spirit of a girl who passed away from an airstrike. According to the legends surrounding her, it is said that she can be summoned when you enter the girl's bathroom on the 3rd floor of a building. Once in the bathroom, go to the 3rd stall and knock 3 times and call her name. After this, once you open the stall door, it is said that she will be waiting for you. She appears as a sweet girl, but don't let this fool you. It is said that she is actually there to grab you and drag you to hell through the toilet. Sometimes, once you've completed the ritual, when you open the stall door, instead of HANAKO-SAN, you'll find a 3-headed lizard that will condemn you for invading her privacy and then devour you. So really, it's a lose-lose situation no matter what. I don't know why you do the things. In our number 5 spot today we have Kunekune. This story starts out in 2003 when it is said that people started reporting seeing strange things in the fields and gardens. It is said that these sightings were of sort of humanoid but seemingly fabric appendages wiggling in the distance. That is what the Kunekune is, these strange sort of wiggling figures. It is said that they most usually appear on hot days, and that sometimes they can be spotted looking like they're blowing in the wind even if there is no wind to be felt. Here's the thing with these creatures though, it is said that you should not go near them. If you see one, turn around and definitely do not touch it. If a person gets too close to one, it is said that they will go insane, and if you dare touch one, you'll be killed on the spot. The best thing to do is to ignore them. If you do, they should leave you alone, but the issue is, How do you ignore such a thing? In our number 4 spot today we have The Girl from the Gap. The Girl from the Gap is a story of a creature that takes advantage of a fear of small spaces. Whether it's a small crack, a small space, a crawl space, really anything you can think of, she can be spotted here. It is said that she is a ghost of sorts that haunts every possible nook and cranny there is, anywhere that she can hide. A hiding ghost. Great. I mean, that's insane to me because ghosts are already pretty hard to see, so a hiding ghost? No thank you. I don't even want to know what she's up to. Legend goes that if you make direct eye contact with a girl in the Gap, she'll ask you, do you want to try on any of our laid back and casual denim? Just kidding, obviously, different Gap. Legend actually goes that if you make direct eye contact with her, she'll ask if you want to play hide and seek. In our number 3 spot today we have Kotori-Bako. We've talked about a few creatures and beings on this list so far, so it's time we talk about a malevolent object. Legend says that this object appears as a small wooden puzzle box that measures to be about 20 centimeters. By design, it's not exactly simple to open. I mean, it is a puzzle box after all, but it's been said that some people have an easier time than others. But here's the thing. You should definitely not touch or open these. I mean, it's not recommended, and it's definitely not recommended that these boxes be taken home. Basically, it is said that these boxes are filled with a powerful grudge curse, and when opened or touched, this curse will move to the appropriate targets who are near. It is said that once the curse reaches a target, the curse will literally tear them up from the inside out. Like, their internal organs will be shredded into 1,000 pieces, which will be accompanied by excruciating pain. Of course. Ultimately, once the curse has been transferred, it is said that there is no way to get rid of it, so it is imperative to stay as far away from these boxes as possible. In our number 2 spot today we have HANAKO-SAN. This is an urban legend that originated on the site 2channel, and basically it sees the narrator returning to his grandparents' house in the countryside. Here, he sees a woman who is over 2 meters tall wearing a wide-brimmed hat and who laughs with a strange sound. When the narrator tells his grandfather of this woman, he finds out that she is HANAKO-SAN and that she has become enthralled with him. Here's the issue though. When she takes a liking to someone, they usually are found passed away within a few days. It is said that she only appears once every 10 years and that she is even able to take on different voices, which gives her the ability to lure people in by using the voice of someone they love. Her clothing changes a bit depending on who is seeing her, but she is normally depicted wearing a white flowing sundress with a white wide-brimmed hat. To defeat her, the help of an entire village is needed, but in terms of temporary protection, it is said that piles of salt and amulets can help, but not for long. It is said that she is the divine spirit of the town that she is bound to, but no one really knows for sure what exactly she is or how she came to be. In our number 1 spot today we have the Dream School. Basically, this story starts out with a boy named Kei who found himself wandering around a school that he did not recognize. The more he wandered around the school, however, the more confused he got. This is because this wasn't a regular school, it was this dream school in which nothing makes sense. He'd climb up the stairs only to find himself on the first floor again. He'd try to leave a room and enter the hallway only to find himself in the girls' bathroom. You know, stuff like that just wasn't making any sense. This is when he started to hear clomp, clomp, clomp. It's the sound of footsteps approaching him. Kei got a terrible feeling and began to panic. He found a note which suggested that the key was in room 108. What key? I don't know, but Kei instinctively knew where to go and he ran. He made it to room 108 and slammed the door behind him, but that is when he realized there were no lights in there. He heard the footsteps continue to get closer and closer until he heard banging on the door. Although he was scared, Kei opened the door and that is when he saw this creature, this mess of heads and limbs and torsos of a bunch of students all amalgamated into this one terrible, terrifying, swaying creature with all of these faces looking right back at Kei. Kei then screamed, realizing that he was in a dream, but Kei never woke up. To this day, it is said that Kei still wanders around the dream school trying to escape this monster, but never able to get out. Legend says that if you still remember the story of the dream school a week later, then that means you'll be doomed to join Kei as well. I might have just cursed us all, so If so, I apologize.
Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the slit-mouthed woman. This is said to be one of the most popular Japanese urban legends and is surrounding what at first would seem like an ordinary old woman. She has a sort of mask on her face, but nothing really unusual. She usually appears before those walking at night alone, and she will ask, "Am I beautiful?" If you answer no, you'll be killed with a pair of scissors that she carries. If you answer yes, she will take her mask off to reveal her creepy smile that has been slit from ear to ear. "How about now?" she will ask. If you say no, she will kill you. If you say yes, she will cut an identical smile on you. Legend goes that there is a way to confuse her for long enough that you might be able to escape. That is by saying something along the lines of, "You're average," or meh.
Moving on to number 9, we have the River Boy. And if you guys are liking this video so far, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Now, this legend is quite an unusual one. So it surrounds these creatures known as river boys. They are said to live in ponds or rivers and are about the size of a small child. But they look kind of like turtles with webbed human-like feet and hands, a shell-type thing on their back, and green skin. Now, these creatures are known to be quite mischievous. There are stories of them peering up women's kimonos or tooting really loud in public. On top of that, they can be quite evil. They have lured swimmers to their death along with horses and cows. Because apparently they hate those two animals, but how could anyone hate cows? Like, they're so cute. Anyway, another interesting fact about these creatures are that they have a small bowl type thing on their head that always has to remain wet or filled with water. If it dries out or spills, they could lose their powers or die. In Japan, the stories of the river boy creatures are used to deter kids from swimming alone. Moving on down to number 8, we have the painted Buddha. NURIBOTOKE, otherwise known as the lacquered Buddha or the painted Buddha, gets its name because it resembles a Buddha with its protruding gut. But this creature has black skin, a long tail like a catfish, and has eyes that dangle out of its sockets. It also is said to give off a foul odor. Now, Japanese homes or temples often have a Buddhist shrine, but legend goes if you leave this shrine open at night, or if you don't keep it well kept, then this creature can lurk out of it. Once it's out, it will trick humans by providing them with false prophecies, or they will dance around all night and keep you up. So they look more terrifying than they actually are. In our 7th spot, we have the human pillar. Yeah, it's as creepy as it sounds. So the human pillars in Japan are pillars that are rumored to have humans trapped inside of them. Legend goes that if you put humans inside of pillars during the construction of a building, then it would bless it and help hold it in place. And this was an actual ritual that people would practice. It's a form of human sacrifice and people were buried alive. But now legend goes that the buildings are haunted by the souls trapped inside. One famous legend surrounds Matsu Castle, where apparently a woman was sealed inside during construction, and now her spirit haunts the castle. In fact, sometimes the castle shakes randomly, and that's said to be from the woman trapped within it. Making our way down the list, number 6, we have the girl in the gap. This was a Japanese superstition that turned into an urban legend. So there's a superstition that spirits live between the gaps of things, like in between the gap of a door or couch or closet, etc. Now, legend goes that a demon girl resides in this gap. If you lock eyes with her, she will ask you to play hide and seek with her. No matter what, you have to play with her. But at one point in the game, she will grab you and drag you to hell. Yeah. Good luck sleeping tonight. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the dream school. Legend goes that one night a young boy had a dream about school, which alone is terrifying itself. But in this dream, the school had hallways that went on and on forever. You had staircases that led to the same floor. No matter what, he couldn't escape. At one point in the dream, he heard someone coming close to him, so he ran until he found an emergency exit. The emergency exit had a glass box where a key to the door was held, but the glass was smashed and there was no key. Instead, there was a note that said it could be found in room 108. But when he found the room, it was quite terrifying. The room was empty. There were no students, but there were backpacks hanging off of every chair. He went back out to the hall, and that's when he saw it was littered with dead students. It said that he never woke up from this dream. He's still trapped inside. The legend ends saying, if you don't forget the story in 1 week, the same will happen to you. So good luck and may the odds be ever in your favor. No, I'm just kidding. This is just an urban legend. I have to put this disclaimer in here because in my other video I scared people so bad, like I got DMs asking if it was fake or if they were gonna die, so you guys are good. In our fourth spot, we have the paper lantern ghost. Chochin Obake, or the paper lantern ghost, was a regular lantern that after 100 years of use turned into this creature. This comes from the old belief that all objects have a soul, living or non-living. Now this lantern ghost might look a bit terrifying with its large eyes, or sometimes just one eye, and its big mouth and long tongue, but it's harmless. It's another one of those tricksters that just want to spook humans. Legend goes that the Chochin Obake will flick its tongue out, roll its eyes, and give out a big laugh in order to frighten humans. Coming in at number 3, we have the carnivorous spider. The carnivorous spider is a reference to the golden orb weaver spider, which can be found in Japan. But this spider is a bit different. Apparently, when the spider reaches 400 years old, it can transform into a young, beautiful woman. But there's one problem with this. She gains an appetite for eating young men. So this woman spider creature thing then lures men to their home, where they trap them and eat them slowly. So don't be fooled. Your next Tinder match could actually be this creature in disguise. In our second spot, we have the wriggling body. The wriggling body is an urban legend about this tall, almost paper-looking thing that shimmers and wiggles in rice or barley fields. It's said that this thing constantly moves, even on windless days. From afar, you can't tell what it is, but whatever you do, don't get anywhere close to it. According to the legend, if you get too close to it, it has the power to drive you insane. If you touch it, you will die. Although this is just a legend, some people have claimed to see this in real life, but it may just be a scarecrow they see moving around in the fields. At least we only hope that it's just a scarecrow. In our number 1 spot, we have the ghost of OKIKU. OKIKU is the name of a young girl who lived in a castle as a servant to a samurai. One of the things that OKIKU was responsible for was looking after the samurai's collection of 10 valuable plates. Now one day when caring for the plates, she noticed that there were only 9. One was missing. She began to worry and obsessively started to count the plates over and over, hoping she was just miscounting and 10 were actually there. The samurai became so mad at her that he threw her down a well. But the girl's soul could never find peace. So every night she would crawl out of the well and could be seen counting the plates over and over. When she realizes the 10th plate is missing, she will scream at the top of her lungs. OKIKU haunted the castle for months until a priest came and released her soul.
Starting off this list, in our number 10 spot, we have the Yamamba. Okay, so you know how when someone tells you not to do something, it suddenly makes you want to do it more? Well, that is basically the basis of this creepy legend. Legend has it that one night, a Buddhist priest was caught out in a storm when he came across a lonely hut. The old woman inside the hut was kind and invited him inside, and although she was welcoming, she gave him a warning to never look in the back room. Now, I'm picturing this hut like it's a tent from Harry Potter where there's so much room inside, but anyway, of course when this woman says this, it makes the priest want to see what the back room holds so much more. As soon as the old woman stepped outside to gather some firewood, the priest peeped through a crack in the door to peer into the back room. This is when he realized that the back room was filled with half-eaten corpses, and this kind old woman was actually a Yamamba. These creatures are disguised as harmless old women, but they're actually terrifying yokai, which is a sort of supernatural entity, and these ones like to feast on humans. The priest realized that she had lured him into her home in the hopes of him becoming the next meal, so he booked it out of there as fast as he could and never looked back.
In our number 9 spot today, we have the Red Cape. The tale of the Red Cape starts out when someone is going to the washroom. It is said that the spirit of Red Cape waits in the stalls of specifically the ladies' washroom, usually the last one in the line. Once seated, the spirit's voice will ask, "Do you want red paper or blue?" If you say red, you will suffer a violent death. If you say blue, you will lose all the air in your body and then die. If you try to avoid the question by answering white paper, a pair of ghostly hands will appear, sometimes right out of the toilet, and they will drag you down to the underworld. The best way to avoid Red Cape and any of these terrible fates is to politely refuse any single thing he may offer you. Just don't engage with the demon. I think that's pretty sound advice overall. In our number 8 spot today, we have TEKE. This legend starts off with a girl who was apparently cut in half by a train. This is why this vengeful spirit now appears with no lower body and instead travels on either her hands or her elbows, dragging her upper torso and making a scratching sound. If she encounters a person at night, which is when she is out lurking around, she will chase them down and cut them in half to mimic her own death. She is out for blood and is usually found around train stations. It is said that the only way to escape her is to outrun her, but she is surprisingly quick, so good luck. In our number 7 spot today, we have Tomino's Hell. Tomino's Hell is actually a poem, but there are many legends surrounding it. Legend goes that the poem actually places a curse on whoever reads it, and the curse can either bring misfortune or even death. The poem is said to be exceptionally dark, and there apparently is a ton of disturbing symbolism in it. It is believed that in the poem, Tomino has either committed a terrible crime and is now suffering in the 7 circles of hell, or the poem is actually supposed to be a symbolic representation of the feeling of survivor's guilt, which is also just terrible. At the end of the day, this poem might just be one to stay away from. In our number 6 spot today, we have the No Mask. These are a mask that is traditionally used in theater, and while I could make a whole list on their history in that sense, we are here to talk about spooky urban legends, and when it comes to these masks, well, they are considered to be supernatural in nature. A no mask represents both a smiling and sad face depending on your perspective. When kept in the house, these masks are said to draw negative energy from the owner. Okay, that's not the worst thing in the world. That actually sounds kind of nice. Well, that is until the mask just keeps consuming all of the energy. So much so until the mask consumes the owner completely. This leaves the owner and their soul being trapped in a different dimension that is said to be the dimension of pain. In our number 5 spot today, we have the taxi driver. So this is a legend that if you're a taxi driver, you might want to tune into. Legend goes that a person who suddenly appears and hails a taxi might end up being something sinister. Usually, if the driver pulls over for this mysterious person, they will get in and request a ride to somewhere the driver hasn't heard of before. But of course, this passenger offers reassurance and directions. From there, once the driver agrees, the journey will take some time, with the driver getting further and further from the town or city that they started off in. Eventually, the driver will likely turn around to peek at this passenger, and it's then that the driver will realize that they've disappeared. Once the driver turns back around to look at the road, he'll realize that they're headed straight off of a cliff. Yeah, it's a dark one, and I'm not entirely sure what the moral of this one is. Careful who you pick up in your taxi. In our number 4 spot today, we have the human pillar. This is a legend that is related to these pillars that can be found in Japan. The story goes that these pillars are human pillars, meaning that they have humans trapped inside of them. The reason being is because it was believed that pillars with humans trapped inside of them would bless the construction of the building and hold it firm. Definitely an interesting thought, but this turned out to be far from the truth. Now, it is said that places built with these pillars are being haunted by the souls that are trapped inside rather than blessed. Honestly, I don't really blame them either. If somebody put me in a pillar, I'd probably haunt the building too. In our number 3 spot today, we have the OKIKU doll. So this is a doll that is said to hold the spirit of a young girl. Apparently, it was originally bought as a gift for this girl by her brother, but now the doll resides in a temple where it has been since 1938. This is obviously because of the whole spirit and the doll thing, and it is said that anyone else who tries to own the doll would suffer some serious consequences at her hands. While the doll is and has been in a safe spot for quite some time now, it is said that the hair of the doll continues to grow even after being cut. So don't let the spirit fool you. Just because there hasn't been any strange happenings surrounding it lately doesn't mean she's not lurking around waiting for someone to try and take her doll. In our number 2 spot today, we have GOZU. This is an urban legend that is said to have been discovered at the same time as some Japanese literature that dates all the way back to the 17th century. It is said that this literature that was found had some sort of curse on it, where those who read or narrated the story would be sent into a catatonic state. While in this state, their mind would be trapped inside of another dimension. They would stay here for a short time until they would end up passing away a little while later. In our number 1 spot today, we have the Kleenex commercial. This is an urban legend that is actually surrounding this really weird and creepy Kleenex commercial that aired in the 80s. The commercial itself is really weird as it depicts some sort of ogre child thing being sung to by a woman who is acting very strange, and the song she is singing is also perfectly fit for a horror movie. The ad was quickly pulled from the air as it had people calling in explaining complaining that they were creeped out by it, but of course the internet took hold of it beforehand. So that creepy looking child I mentioned before, well, many people believed that it resembles an Oni demon. There are of course major consequences for looking at a demon, which is exactly what this urban legend surrounds. Basically, legend goes that the crew who worked on this commercial production ended up all passing away after working on this commercial, all in mysterious ways, which people of course believe is due to the demon on set.